We're going to do another one. This one's by The Who. It's called Bubba O'Reilly. Beautiful. So, that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's when you play drums melodically. Steel drums. Xylophone. So, what do you think? Any other questions or ideas or thoughts? Just want to talk about presidential race? These are, today we've got some Sabians up here because they're part of the school. But I'm a Zildjian guy. Growing up, I bought everything. Pisces, Sabian, Zildjian. oofib. You know, in the studio, I bring a bunch of different snares and cymbals. I try not to get too into it by taking much time. Which cymbal, which ride, pick one or two and then move on. But it's always good to trust the engineer's ears. Because I don't know what it sounds like under the microscope in the other room. When they say, you know what, put a pillow in a kick drum, and I'm not used to that. Okay, if it helps the recording. Tape up the drums, make them a little more dead. Okay, if it helps the recording. You know, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not a stickler for anything. Now in the studio and for jazz, I like to wear white coated heads, tuned up high. For rock music, I like to wear clear heads, tuned down. You know? Sometimes I'll wear a real light ride, kind of a crashy ride, to spread. Sometimes I like to have like a pin to get that articulation. Case by case, you know? I think your normal drum kit, a 4-piece, is so comfortable. That's why it was made that way, you know?
Let's take your cymbal for the fight too. Is that just here or is that normal?
On stage, I like them tight. In the studio, I like them really loose. Now in the studio, I hit them a lot less. Once or twice for an occasion. But on stage, I'm overdoing it, so I don't want them facing the wrong way when I want to hit them again. Or too loud. I'm not a big fan of the shields. I know they help a lot for the vocal part, getting the cymbals in the vocal mic. Like our singer, for James, he likes to come up and sing to me, and all my stuff goes into his mic. Now with Caught Stealing, that dog, if you listen to us recording real tight, real closely, you can hear Perry and his dog playing before the song starts. And when the power chords hit, wah, wah, it scared the dog. Oh. Perfect timing. And for the lyrics, so we kept it, one of those miracles. The funny thing is that Perry had his harmonizer on, which put everything lower. So the dog wasn't as mean as it sounds. It was more like a lap dog, but it sounds like some mean charger that's going through Perry's mic. You know, I've had a lot of good times drumming and in the studio and on stage. I think the best of it is when you're creating with your friends in a small room. And that to me is the satisfaction of learning the instrument and then making it your own somehow. And you know, like I said, I'll play the Zeppelin and Rush all day long. But when you write a song, you come up with an original drum beat. It's so satisfying. And hopefully that beat can move people, as they say, get their butts moving. That's really, I think my early days in Los Angeles and Venice Beach, as I say, those drum circles really stuck to me. You get a bunch of people together to move their bodies with the drum sound. And nowadays, you know, I've got a lot of time on my hands. A lot of my friends don't have all day to hang out like I do. I wake up, okay, what am I going to do? That's why musicians get into trouble. They don't have anything to do with themselves. So I wake up and I get into shape. I play my drums. I want to have endurance. I want to have speed. I don't want to, like, of course it always happens. I can't do it. What I hear, my body's not doing it. And that's good, because I want to get better. You know, and the whole world of watching now on YouTube, you can go and watch Buddy Rich and Vinnie Colaiuta and Steve Gadd. There's so much to absorb, so much information about great drumming. You can slow it down and watch technique, you know, and I think there's a lot to be learned from the old greats. And there's also something to be learned from the homegrown, what you came through. You know, I've had a lot of good times and I've had a lot of really terrible things happen to me, and that makes my drumming. That makes me who I am. And I put that into my music, and I think the great musicians aren't practicing licks. They're going on a hike, going on a date, going and living, and then bringing that back into the music. And I think that's the music that moves me the most. I really want to thank everybody for coming. And I think articulated everything pretty clearly. I know about drumming from my own perspective. I'm not a technique guy. I don't practice holding the sticks correctly. I don't practice replicating the perfect rudiments. I spent a lot of time doing that, and I found that I can't ever get as good as Vinny or Buddy. And it's not going to happen. So how do I get to my potential? What's the best I could be? Why am I trying to be Vinny? I can't do it. I don't even think that way. Like I say, he doesn't always play the one, but when he does, you find out how lost you are. You know, that's the kind of drumming. Like I was having this conversation with somebody, how some musicians that are just so fantastic can't be social, and they have to just be in their room making music because they're just too fantastic. I never got to that. I can still be a normal social person and play music. I think there's a combination of having a life and being an artist. That's how you reach people. And Jane's Addiction was perfect timing, like I said, was the metal scene was coming down, the post-punk thing peaked. We needed something new in LA. We were the perfect element. When we went to Seattle, we made a difference in that scene. We went to Chicago, we made a difference in that scene. When we went to New York, we made a difference. For better or for worse, it was a still lake, and we threw a rock in there, and the ripples are still going. And Jane's Addiction has a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Crazy. We have our hands in cement at the Guitar Center Rock Walk, but this is a good story. The guy who runs the Rock Walk at Guitar Center, Dave Weiderman, sold me my first drum set in 1979. Yeah, it's crazy. So he's like, welcome to the Rock Walk. Where do you want your cement to be? And I said, as close to Jimmy Page as possible. He said, well, good news. The Yardbirds, we got the hands of Jeff Beck, Clapton, and Page. Underneath that, there's an empty spot for Jane's Addiction. So when you're standing, looking at those guys, you're standing on us. Whoa, Jimmy Page and Jane's Addiction. Whoa, Jeff Beck. So we're close to them. And just last week, we were nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So what do you think? And all we wanted to do was like make music and poems reach a small group of people, the LA punk scene. That's all we were after. And I'm happy we're still going. And me and Navarro, like I said, have been playing since we were 14. Me and Perry since I was 17. So these are lifelong friends and partners. And thanks for coming. Thanks for panning. We got some drums here. If we have time to like do a little drum circle, I'm not sure if we do. Yeah? Oh, good. Thank you, TJ, for inviting me and being a part of my life for the last 20 years. We've been around the world together, and we didn't even have to leave LA to do that. It's good to see you, TJ. And thank you so much. And if you guys want to drum, I mean, we can just do like a real simple African rhythm for a while on these drums and celebrate drumming together. And if you want any pictures or autographs or any questions, I'm sure we can set up a little spot for that too. Thanks for having me. Cheers.